Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we are back here today with some more Overwatch. Today, taking a look at the recently updated weekly Brawl. You guys can expect one of these videos each and every week. I'll be taking a look at the new weekly Brawl, talking a little bit about it, giving you guys my thoughts and feelings on it, and then also throwing a couple quick tips your way to help you better succeed in that week's weekly Brawl. Now, if you don't know what the weekly Brawl is, it is a game mode that is updated, well, as it says, every single week by Blizzard, and it's not really about preserving what makes Overwatch Overwatch. In fact, it's the complete opposite. It's a Brawl. It's about having fun, breaking the rules, and often breaking the mechanics that make Overwatch work, all in the name of fun, and I very much enjoy them. Of course, for the first week of Overwatch, we had the Arcade Brawl, which boosted a bunch of player health and also cut the cooldowns on player abilities. This week is something far more interesting and far more specific. We have the Super Shimada Bros weekly Brawl, which is all about Genji and Hanzo. That's right, Genji and Hanzo will be the only two selectable heroes for that Brawl. Of course, two characters tied by the game's story, and not by much else. I guess you could say they share a ranged melee attack and the ability to wall climb, but that's really it. They're actually two very different heroes in terms of purpose and battlefield usage. Genji is a close quarters assassin type character who also has the ability to throw his shurikens at a ranged distance, while Hanzo is a defense type hero that is purely about range. He doesn't really have any sort of close quarters melee ability apart from his standard melee attack. And I found that in this specific instance, this highlights exactly why Blizzard wasn't going to have any sort of deathmatch or team deathmatch game mode, because it proves their point that not all of the heroes 1v1 in a very balanced scenario. I'd say this is closer than a lot of other hero matchups could potentially be. I think we could have far worse hero matchups when it comes to a 1v1. But I think in a lot of ways, Genji simply wins this. And I know people will disagree with me, and that's okay. But what you have to recognize is that Hanzo is a very precision-based hero. He has nothing else except his arrows. That's it. If he can't sling an arrow or maybe use his ricochet arrow type or his sonar arrow type to get a better, sort of leap on the competition, you're screwed. So if you lack aiming precision, if you lack the ability to land precision shots, there's nothing else you can do. And you also have to recognize that Hanzo fires one arrow at a time, while Genji throws up to three of his shurikens or throwing stars or whatever you choose to call them. He also, of course, can do a spread pattern. He just has more in terms of his damage capabilities, as he should. He is an assassin attack-focused hero. So that's really where his strengths therein lie. He also has the ability to deflect. Again, further putting Hanzo in the hardcore difficulty zone for this specific game mode. And I found that in the time that I played, a lot of people were simply playing Genji. A lot of people asking others to play Genji because they wanted to win. Of course, many people ignoring that because it's a weekly Brawl and it's all about having fun. Play who the hell you want. No one is coming in this expecting to come out extremely successful. And that is definitely not the mentality you should have. If anything, this is a great place for all those people who love to play Genji and Hanzo when it makes so little sense in the main game to finally stretch their little ninja wings. Fly, ninja. Fly. Shoot all the arrows and shurikens you want. This is the place to do that. Of course, it's also a great battleground to test and develop your skills with either of these players. To me, this is actually the perfect scenario to really put your Genji and your Hanzo to the ultimate test. As I said, with Genji, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to practice your arrow deflect, your bullet deflect, your sword deflect, and also a lot of situations in which you can practice your sword dash and just become more accurate with your shuriken. And the same thing can be said for using your bow with Hanzo. This is a great way to become really good at arrow prediction, arrow drop, leading your targets. I have to say, this is where another one of those situations where it really highlights the challenge of facing off against Genji with Hanzo is that Genji is very unpredictable in his movement. He can double jump, so he has an additional jump over Hanzo. He can bounce off of walls. He has his dash ability. It's really hard to lead Genji. And when there's a bunch of them running around, it's even harder to lead Genji because you have no one else to take your time to shoot. You can't just say, well, I'll just go shoot Roadhog. No, you have to shoot a Genji. So if you don't have the aim and the precision and the accuracy, you're simply not going to shoot any Genjis. You're just going to shoot a lot of arrows, occasionally pop off a ricochet type arrow, a multi-arrow, and just pray that you hit something and kill something. or you'll just give up and you're going to go ahead and switch to Genji and start deflecting arrows all day long. Small tip for each of the heroes. If you are deciding to play as Hanzo, I'd say the best thing you can do is just really pray. No, honestly, one of the best things you can do is make use of his multi-arrow ability and, of course, his sonar arrow. It's a relatively short cooldown. The more that you keep that arrow up, the more often your team can identify where other Genjis and Hanzos are. Of course, that's going to be a huge benefit to your team, whether you're attacking or defending. In terms of his multi-arrow, try and pinch Genjis, especially in small close quarters areas, to get the maximum amount of potential damage out of that arrow. And also recognize that you don't need to use a full draw when engaging targets at close quarters. Simply do a short draw and go for the head and cross your fingers for a headshot. Or maybe you're just good enough and you can land a headshot and be 100% sure of it. In terms of playing Genji, this is, as I said, a prime place to be making use of his deflect ability. Use it often, use it well, and recognize the benefits of it as a defensive tool to survive any arrow barrages from would-be Hanzo players. One of the other big things that I would recommend too is, really starting to understand the amount of damage that your dash melee does, because it can be a great finisher once you are able to soften up an enemy with a slew of Shoryukens. The thing is, if you dash through a enemy, whether it's a Hanzo or another Genji, and it's not for the kill, your character is going to be frozen up for a small moment, a couple of frames where you can't look to the left or right, making it a little bit more difficult to turn around 180 and start to engage that character again. So if you can recognize the health bar and start to understand how much damage your dash uses, you can save it as sort of a finisher or just use it as a mobility tool to evade incoming attacks. So those are my 2 pieces of information. Of course, you guys have any tips of your own that you'd like to share with everybody regarding Hanzo or Genji in the Super Shimada Bros Weekly Brawl, feel free to throw it down in the comment section below. Really interested to see what Blizzard does with all of this weekly Brawl stuff. As I said, I didn't really pay attention to too many of the weekly Brawls that were featured in the closed beta, as I wasn't actively playing the closed beta, but I really like how interesting and unique this one is. It feels far more interesting than anything that we saw with the arcade Brawl, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what else they bring next week. You can expect me to check it out right here on the channel come Tuesday or Wednesday. Basically, as soon as I can sit down and actually play it for more than 10 minutes, I'll bring you guys my short thoughts, a few tips, something you can look forward to every single week. Thank you so much for watching. If you're looking for more Overwatch content from myself, feel free to click the playlist button that will be linked to this video most likely, and check out the entire Overwatch playlist that I have. I'll see you in the next one.